everyone, welcome back to my channel here on YouTube, Yarn Creations. I'm Adela and I live in Pretoria in South Africa, and it's quite a cold wintry day today. It has been a while but I'm happy to be here today to share one or two things that I've finished and what I'm going to finish next. So the first one that I'm wearing is my Scrappercardi that you have seen quite a few times. I started it in last year in 2022, the 1st of July, and now it is done. I had to put it away when it got too hot to work on it because it's a 2-ply merino super twist. That's a sportweight yarn and held together with a kidsilk mohair. So in the hottest summer months I had to put it away, but I was glad to take it out again and finish it, and I'm very happy. As you can see, it's a little bit oversized and loose fit, but I love it that way. I can still wear something underneath and it's just a comfortable fit. And I was actually thinking I need a pajama cardigan, something that I can throw over my pajamas early in the morning, and this might be just perfect for that as well. But yes, it's definitely something that I will wear out, definitely. So yes, I think I will get a lot of wear out of this one. What can I tell you? It grew quite a lot. When I thought I had a little bit more to knit on the body, I decided to wash it first. And the body grew with about 6 centimeters. And the sleeves grew with about just over 4 centimeters, I think. So that's a lot. I think I don't usually get that much stretching on my other garments, although they are also superwash. But I think garter is quite another ball game when it comes to stretching out, even with the kidsilk mohair. I used a 3.5 millimeter needles, and I was thinking that at a time that maybe that is too small, but I'm glad I stuck to the 3.5 millimeter needles. This ribbing I went down to a 3 millimeter because I always want my neck bands to be a little bit higher up and cozier. So I did this with a 3 millimeter, and I think I did a few more rows than the pattern suggested. And I think what I should have done, I don't mind this. I love, as you know, I love a lot of positive ease, so this is fine. But I didn't actually keep in mind that it will stretch so much. And I was wondering if I soaked this part, the yoke part, before to decide where to put the sleeves on hold, would it have made such a big difference as what happened with the whole garment? Because I don't think you will get so much stretch just for the yoke part as you will get when you have finished the whole body, and all that weight is also on the yoke. So, but it might have, I think I will just have to keep that in mind in the future if I knit a garter stitch garment, is to not maybe stop a little bit earlier and keep in mind that the whole body will definitely stretch out the yoke as well. But it's fine. I love it, and it's very cozy and soft, very soft. The kidsilk is not irritating to me at all. I knitted the sleeves flat because there's no way that I will knit garter stitch in the round. So if you do that, you'll have to pull every second row. So that is just not, it's defying the object for me. So I knitted, I used a provisional cast on, and I knitted the sleeves separately, and I knitted them flat. And then I joined them with a 3-needle bind off. And I think it's quite, it came out quite neat. I'm not at all, I think you might be able to see it a little bit, but you have to look closely. And then I grafted the underarm stitches to the body, and I think that came out very neat as well. So yes, I think that was a successful modification on the pattern. And yes, I also did my decreases for the sleeves much slower, which I'm very happy I did. It's a good fit. And then I seamed the sleeves here, and it's very easy to, with mattress stitch, to seam garter stitch, because you've got those little bumps at either side. So I just go through the one bump and then through the other one, and I think it seamed out up quite well. And then I also did quite a rapid increase before I did the cuff. I did a knit one, I had 20 stitches more than was in the pattern for the size I made. I don't think I've got the pattern with me anymore. But as I said before, I always start with a smaller size, and then I go to the size that I want for my bust. So I think it was the last size in the first bracket, if you've got the pattern, that I ended up with for the sleeves. And I don't know how much, what I know my stitch count for the body at the end was about 324 stitches. I'm not sure if that's even one of the sizes, because I did do A-line shaping. I did 2 stitches on either side of the middle. I did an increase, and I also did an increase here at this, at either side of the, from, I did it, I think from here, I also did an increase. I did the increases in the yoke, and I also did an increase here. So that, because for me, what I don't like about a cardigan is that it tends to pull away here, and then I'm cold here at the front of my body. And this doesn't have, I don't like to button up a cardigan. I will probably use 1 or 2 buttons, but I won't button it up completely. So what I like about this one, because it's so loose fitting, and I did the increases here and at the sides, it's completely, I can completely fold it over my body and be warm in the front as well. So I had 20 stitches that I had to decrease before the cuff. So I just did a knit 1, knit 2 together all around, and I like how that looks. And yes, I had 2. I used as I said previously, Misslamotteyarns Advent that I got for December 2019. That was a collaboration between Misslamotteyarns and Chantal from Be Inspired. So I got my Advent through Be Inspired. And I never knew what to do with it, but I'm happy with it now. I used the mohair, the kidsilk mohair is from Misslamotteyarns, Cowgill Blues, and then I got about 3 colors from Colors of Amalfi. So I just had to mix them up to match the Advent colors. And there was about 2 colors that I didn't use for the sleeves, which I'm actually quite glad about, because it was quite a bright pink, especially one of them. So I didn't mind not using them. And there was quite a light blue that I also didn't use. So that was fine. So the rest, I knitted it up. I divided the minis between the 2 sleeves before the time, so that I can have the equal amounts for both sleeves. And for the body, and then I just knitted them. For the body, I just knitted till it was finished, and then I added another one. I never changed the merino twist mini and the mohair at the same time. I always changed or melted the mohair when I was busy within a specific color of one of the minis. I hope that's not too much rambling. And yes, at the end I had to go to a little bit, I went to the yellows and the greens and the turquoise, and then I didn't want to change the color in the bottom ribbing, if you can call it that. So I used the next color that was a little bit lighter, and I used it up completely. So yes, I just stopped the ribbing. I think I had 2 or 3 more rows to do, but I just stopped there because it grew with 6 centimeters. It was definitely long enough. And what else is there? I always forget some of the things I want to tell you, but I think that's about it. Yes, if I can think of anything else, I will tell you next time, or I will write it in the description box below. But I think yeah, and then this button, she calls it buttonless bands. I did, yes, the one other thing I did is I did a slip stitch at the end of the row, and that was very easy then to pick up the stitches, much easier than what was described in the pattern. I think you had to knit the stitch, and then on the wrong side you pull the stitch. So you had a knit stitch and you had to pick up, every second stitch or whatever. So I just decided to slip the last stitch with yarn in front, and that was much easier to pick up all the stitches in that slip stitches, and it's quite neat. And I did double the amount of rows to make it a little bit more wider and to close up nicely in the front. And I just had to go to my what do you call it, my deep stash of Misslamotteyarns to find a lightly speckled yarn. Luckily I had a lovely one, because I used all the light speckles. I completely used them up in the yoke. So then I used the same grey kidsilk mohair from Colors of Amalfi together with that speckled yarn from my stash to do the buttonless bands. What I sometimes do is I make a little a button with a what will you call it? Something that you can remove, and then I can close it up here with that loose button, and then when I'm hot or I want to take it off, I can just take the button off, because it will look funny. I was thinking of maybe adding, say, 2 or 3 buttons with buttonholes, but I think having just 3 buttons on the cardigan will look funny. So I'll rather use a loose button and pin it down with, I just glue a little pin on the back, and then it's easy to take it off when you want to, when you're too hot, or you want it open, or you want to take it off. Okay, so I think that's all of it. I don't think there's anything else. Good. I just wanted to show you, because last time I had my Betha on. The Betha that I showed you, I've got a separate little video for the Betha cardigan by Marie Wallin, but it was difficult to show the inside. I don't think I gave enough attention to the inside, because it was a lot of work for me to have it all. I spend a lot of time and energy on the finishing. So I just wanted to show you, remember I said I did a 3 needle bind off on the shoulder. So I just wanted to show you the inside of that. Just remember there is some cut yarns there, but that is the inside of the 3 needle bind off. That I think is also very neat, and I find it very neat on the outside. And I also wanted to show you the little stick properly that I added here when I did it. I had to, remember I said I had to put some stitches on hold, and then I had to do some neck shaping here, and I didn't want to knit flat from here to the shoulder, so I added this another little stick, and that is that one. And also the inside sticks, I'm not sure, I can't remember if I showed that. And also just do this, and then you can see this, the armhole stick. And also I, as I said, I knitted the sleeves in the round with sticks on either side. And that is my seam with that stick. And I tucked everything down with, I used the John Arbon Alpaca Delight, and it worked perfectly. I had a light grey, and I threaded through a needle, and I tucked all the sticks down, and to make them more secure and just neat, so that they don't curl up and fold and everything. So I think, yes, I'm happy with the result, and I'm glad I've spent so much time on the finishing. So you can't see it at all. So yes, I just wanted to show you the finishing inside, and that I think it all went well. And I just love my cardigan. I love the fabric. I love everything about this. I had some yarn left, and I tried a pattern. It's a garter stitch wrap, and I wanted to use all the leftovers to knit that wrap. I think it's a free pattern. I will look it up, and I will probably knit it at some stage, but with another yarn, because as much as I enjoyed knitting this in stockinette with the color work, so much I did not enjoy knitting garter stitch with the Rowan felted tweed. It's not enjoyable to knit, and I know there's a lot of patterns I think there's a wrap that's with lot of Rowan felted tweed yarns, and that's all in garter stitch, a wide, very pretty wrap, and that always appealed to me, but there's no way I'm ever going to knit garter stitch with Rowan felted tweed. It's totally not enjoyable to me. I think I've come to the realization that I must be careful with garter stitch, what I use when I knit garter stitch. The yarn mustn't be too thick or bulky, and it must be a very soft yarn. Otherwise, I can feel it on my hands. This was okay, but I was glad for it to be done. Very glad. It was a big project, and I think with the Betha and this Scrappercardi, I think I will definitely take a break from cardigans, because I like my cardigans to be big and a little bit oversized and with lots of positive ease. So it's like knitting a blanket every time. So it's a lot of work and a lot of knitting. So I think I will definitely take a break from cardigans, because it was too just this one and then this one this one right after this one. So I think it was too much in a certain period of time. But it's done, and I'm so happy with both. So that's just what I wanted to show you about the Betha. And yes, I've actually got a little list. Oh yes, what something that I showed you last time is the linen stitch square baby blanket I was busy crocheting last time. Now that already went, both the baby blankets I did, the corner to corner knitted one and the linen stitch crochet one, that already went to my daughter-in-law. She had a lovely function to celebrate the little girl that will come next month. And I gave her the 2 blankets, and I hope she can use them for, I think August will still be cold enough, and probably September as well. So I've posted photos on Instagram. If I'm not sure, I don't think I will remember or be able to, maybe I will, to put a picture in here, but as you know by now, I'm not one for editing. So yes, it's just what you see is what you get. And okay, then the one other thing that was also a big project that I finished is this brioche shawl. Remember, I think I showed it a lot of times. I used the Bouquet pattern, but that is 2-color brioche. As you can see, there's 2 colors in every row. So I only used 1 color in a row and then turned. So it was only the brioche knit. But I just got tired of fighting all those stitches on the needles. So I just decided to quit. It looks big, but it's got a very wide wingspan, but still the depth is not, I wanted it deeper, but I just couldn't work with all those stitches anymore. So I did my last increase, just see, I did my last increase round about here, and then after a few rows I decided it's not going to happen. So I started to do decreases again. So I just did my own thing, did some decreases, but I still had, I think, about 500 stitches on the needles. And I decided there's no way I'm going to do an I-cord bind off because it's got the I-cord on the sides. So what I did, I used the fabric I knitted with a 3.25 millimeter. It's all singles. I took a 4.5 crochet hook and double strand of the singles, and I did a crocheted bind off. And then I turned around and I did also with both strands, I slip stitched back. And I think it's just as good as an I-cord. So it gives you that little bit of structure and texture on the bottom. And yes, I think it worked well, and it was much faster than an I-cord bind off. I really don't like doing an I-cord bind off. And yes, as I say, I can actually wear it with this as well if it's really, really cold. Just see if I can. It's quite cozy. I can just pin it maybe. Just see. It will definitely keep me warm. I love the squishy fabric of the brioche. I've got these two woolly items on. I will not be cold. So that is the brioche shawl. And as I say, I tried the wrap with the felted tweed. That didn't work. I started a dotted rays by Stephen West with my some of my leftover sock yarn, South African sock yarn, the 75-25 base. And at the beginning I was quite happy, and then later on I just decided it's not going to happen. It's each wedge uses much more yarn than the previous one, so I thought I could use more of my smaller amounts of the sock yarn, but it didn't work that way. The wedges quickly needed much more yarn than I had leftovers of, and I didn't really want to go for that specific shawl. I didn't want to go into my full skeins of sock yarn. That wasn't the idea. So that dotted rays is not going to happen. So I don't know. I think I feel I like to have a shawl on the needles, even if it takes me 5 or 6 months to complete. I don't mind. I can't remember. I think I started this end of January, more or less, I think, if I remember correctly, and I finished it somewhere in June. So yes, if I can, if I've got something like this on the needles just to have it on the go, then that works for me. It doesn't have to be completed within a month or two. It's not one of the projects, works in progress, that I want to finish as soon as possible to use it, because I've got enough, like a cardigan or a sweater. That's something I enjoy the process. It is about the process, but it's also about the product. I want to use the product, and a shawl is more about the process. But I'm happy that this is done, and I think I will get use out of it. it's not heavy, it's very light because it's merino singles, but yes, it also did use quite a lot of yarn, so I had to go and dye up. I forgot about that completely by now because I finished it about a month ago. I had to dye up some dark teal, I wanted some dark grey, black teal color to for the next section. So this last little piece was in the yarn that I dyed up, and the rest was all, as I said in previous episodes, from different dyers, just leftover yarns. And but I'm happy with this. Lots of projects that I'm very happy with. And I've done a pair of socks. Took me, I casted these on in February, and I think I also completed them in somewhere in June. But socks is also, I've got enough socks to wear, so socks is also for me. It doesn't actually, I've said it previously, I don't see socks as a work in progress that has to be finished as soon as possible. That's also a on-the-go project for me. So it took me from, as I said, I think February up to June to complete this pair of socks. Color is difficult to show. Just see. I did a strong heel. That's just the opposite. That's a cuff down way of doing the flegel heel. If you do toe up, you'll do the flegel heel. If you, then this piece will be at the bottom of your foot, and this heel turn will be at the back of your heel. But if you do cuff down for the strong heel, then you do the increases first. So this will be your heel part, and then your heel turn is here below your foot. I just did my own patterning, but it doesn't show up very nicely. It's just a knit to pull to, and then knit 2 rounds, and then it moves with 1 stitch, knit 2 rounds and move with 1 stitch. So it's a 12 row repeat. So knit 2, pull 2, knit 2 rounds, then move it with 1 stitch. Doesn't matter what side you move it to, just keep it consistent or not. And then knit 2 rounds and then move it with 1 stitch again. So then you can see that this knit 2, pull 2 moves with 1 stitch to one side. Just 1 second. Let's see. I don't think it will make a difference. Yes, but this is a so that the leg is a little bit longer than usual because I did I must now remember, I think 6 repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, 6 repeats of this 12 rows. So I think it's in what, 72 rows. I like it because this yarn, it's a base that Stellarfibreworks imported. It's an imported base. So I don't think she has it anymore. I bought it a few years back. It's also a 75-25 merino nylon, but it's got 400 meters on 100 grams. and it's a little bit, although it's got more meters, it knitted up, um, it feels, the fabric feels thicker than our local yarn base. So this is what I have left. So this, I think it will be nice and comfortable and warm socks, and I haven't worn them yet because I wanted to show it here first. But I think this week's going to be extremely cold here, so I'm looking forward to have another pair of very warm socks to wear. Okay, what else? I sometimes, when I know I'm going to do a little bit of a longer leg, I start with this. I did on a 2.5 millimeter because the yarn felt a little bit thicker. I didn't want to knit it on a 2.25. I always use the Chiagu interchangeable needles, and then I started here with 68 stitches and did a 2x2 ribbing, and then I decreased 4 stitches, so the leg is 64 stitches. And then somewhere in the middle of the foot I decreased 4 stitches again, because I'm a number, is it a UK number 6, and but I've got narrow, kind of normal narrowish feet. I don't know how to explain it. So I always I like a little bit more stitches on my leg, but then I have to decrease for my foot part. So this is very nice and comfortable and thick socks that I can now use. Okay, I think that's all my finished objects. What I still have on the needles is 3 projects. I'll start with the oldest whip. So I've only got one whip from last year. This was the one that I started in July last year, and then the other one, I think you've all forgot about this, is my Fairisle blanket. And I think I've put this marker there because I think that is more or less where I was last time I showed you. And I think that was last year, somewhere last year. I also haven't worked on this quite a lot during the summer. And because I wanted to tackle one, I can't work on more than one Fairisle project at one moment, one specific time. So I wanted to do the Betha. That was really something I wanted to do. So now I think I will get back to this and see how much I can get done before it's too hot on my lap to work with, because this is very woolly, woolen spun, non-superwash yarn that I bought in Norway. The patterns I'm using that I used up to here is from the Sassenach cushion cowl. That was a cowl last year by Skepius, and it was designed by New Leaf Designs. I think the patterns are still free, maybe on her blog or somewhere. So I'm just using those charts, and I think maybe also the stitch counts more or less, but I'm using a 3.5 millimeter needles, and I've put in a stick so that at the end I can cut it open. I think I'm about halfway. So I've still got this much to do, and that's a lot. And I don't think I will be able to finish it this winter. So it will probably go into hibernation again at some stage when it gets too warm to work on it. and then hopefully maybe next winter I can finish it, because I'm not going to do a Fairisle cardigan next year. That is a definite decision. So that is the Fairisle blanket, and then I can move this little stitch marker up. Don't really know what this is, like a little ice cream stitch marker, and I'm going to put it up here, and then maybe we can see if I've made any progress. I'm using, at the end, I'm using my Chiagu metal needles in a 3.5. I think they work best for these woolly yarn. And the two yarns I'm using is, it's all pure Norwegian wool. The one is the Finull PT2 by Roma, and the other one, sorry, but the labels are all, because I've been in a crate and used a lot, is the Sandnes Garn Tove, don't know, but I think this specific yarn has been discontinued, sadly. And the two, fortunately, they work very well together. They are more or less the same weight, the same meterage. And I bought quite a few of these in Norway, so I'm happy to use them all. And then this will be just a very nice remembrance of my trip to Norway and the yarns I bought there. Yes, so I've started to repeat some. I think I'm going to repeat some of the patterns, but I remember that when I last worked on this, it took me a while to decide, because I've only got this, some of the colors, most of the colors, I've only got one ball of each color. So I really have to decide carefully how I'm going to use the colors and what kind of pattern. I'm not using all the charts, I'm only using the smaller ones, so that I can spread the colors throughout the blanket. I've got enough of this light colors, but I don't have a lot of the other brighter colors. So to get that contrast and balance throughout the blanket is somewhat problematic for me. I'm not good. It takes me a long time. I know people don't believe me, but it really takes me a long time to decide what colors to use together, what chart to use, how to spread the colors. It does take a long time, so I can really overthink this and overplan it, and then yes, let's just hope it works out well. Otherwise it will just be a wrap. It's not a yarn that I will knit a sweater out of. I think it's a little bit, because it's woolen spun, it's a little bit more rustic than what we are used to here. So that's why I thought that the blanket, it's very light, it's not heavy because it's woolen spun, so it's actually an ideal to do a Fairisle project for a blanket with or a throw. But that's a one project, the only old whip in that I have, and hopefully I can make a little bit of progress on it before it gets too hot to work on this woolly non-superwash yarn. And then the other thing that I started when I was tired of knitting on the Betha, I started the Rituals. That's a pattern by Locatelli. And yes, the pattern with the yarn has been in my stash together for a few years, quite a few years. I think I bought the pattern when it was released in, I can't remember, I think it was in 2020. Sometimes I write it down when I bought the pattern, but I didn't write it down here. But I think this was released in 2020, if I remember correctly. But the yarn I had in my stash, I think, since 2018. So I think I've got, I have to do this lace panel again and the stripes, and then I can do the bottom ribbing. So it's got, you just repeat, that is the repeat, this lace and the stripes. The yarn I'm using is the 3-ply DK, and it was dyed by Indiebelle Fibres, Natasha from Indiebelle Fibres, when she was Bar, B-A-A-H, and then she changed her name to Indiebelle Fibres. And I bought most of this, I think, from Be Inspired. The denim blue, definitely I bought from Be Inspired. But yeah, this was one of my dream knits for a very long time. So I can't wait to get this done, and this is what I'm going to work on now that this cardigan is finished. And then I've got the sleeves to do. My one nemesis in knitting is the SSK. I've tried all the ways. I'm sure that if you tell me about another way of doing the SSK, I will definitely have tried that one as well. I've tried them all, and I still find that I've got a big difference between my SSK and my knit two together. And there's just, I just decided I'm now going to try my best and knit because otherwise, because I think I was up to in the stripes, and then I decided I just don't like how the SSKs looked in this lace pattern, and I ripped it all back and I started again. And then I decided I want this so badly, and if once it's blocked, you will probably not see it so much, but I will definitely in the future, when I knit something like this, I don't know, maybe if it's part of the reason is the yarn, because it's this double knit superwash soft, very soft yarn, and it's very I don't know how to explain it, but it's difficult. It knits up very neatly. I enjoy knitting with it a lot, but that SSK, I don't think, and you will probably tell me what is wrong with you. I can't see anything the matter with it. But me looking up closely while I'm knitting, I just hate each and every SSK that I've done in this sweater, and there is a lot of them. But you know, at the end, I'm going to wear it, and I'm not going to look down at the SSKs. And if other people see that it's not perfect, then it will not be my problem at all. I just want this sweater very badly, because when I go out of the house, I wear denims. I don't own any other pants. I only wear denims. And I once heard a podcaster, I can't remember who it was, but she said that her sweaters that she knits must be denim friendly. And that was exactly how that was the word I was looking for. I think it's what she said. I wear denims a lot. So when I go out, I wear a denim. And I would like to have quite a few sweaters like this that I can wear with my denims when I go out of the house and feel dressed up. This is dressing up for me. Wearing a very nice hand knitted sweater with my denim and my boots, or even my sketcher, my sketches. I live in my sketches as well. So can't wait to have this finished. Okay, so I think, yeah, I'm also doing the increases. So I think the stitch, the pattern repeat, I think is 15 stitches. So when I do the stripes, I do 2 sets of increases. I think there in the beginning of the stripe, and then in my last stripe, I do say, I think 8 increases and then 7 decreases around in the body, so that I have increased with 15 stitches by the time I have to do the next lace repeat. Okay, I'm using 4mm needles. I always knit the 3-ply DK with 4mm needles, and because this was I'm also using my Chiagu bamboo knitting needles for this, because the point is a bit sharper than the tulips, and I find that also helped a little bit with the SSK and the knit two together, that's in the lace part. So that is my second work in progress, and this, I don't think this will take a lot more of my time to finish. And then I've got only one more work in progress. Sure, it's a long one today, but I was so rushed in previous episodes, I never get around to show you my works in progress properly. So I want to show you this one quickly. Just try and get it on a sock blocker. And I hope you've got your sunglasses with you, or whatever you can use, because this one is bright. And it's a pair of socks, again, my second pair of socks for the year. They are bright. And this is the Cookie Swap socks by Dana Rae Designs. And it's perfect for that little bit of bits and bobs of, I've got a whole little basket here. This is all, I think, most of them are the minis that came with sock sets, probably from, definitely most of them from Naughty Habit, from Queso Combo. That's got the minis with the full skein. And then some of them I dyed myself. This is one that I dyed, and this one. So I'm using mostly solid colors, and then only for this color work part, the mosaic knitting part, I'm using a variegated. And then this is one from, she was Open Sky Yarns. I don't think she dyes at the moment. The only modification I had to do after ripping back twice in the garter decrease part is the this section. It was also supposed to be mosaic knitting, but I was worried to about the floats over because I've got a high instep. I was worried about the floats that will be over this part of my foot. So I decided to just do the stripes, just not do any color work here, just the stripes. Just want to show you the pattern again, and then you will know it's that part. So there's some floats there over the highest, over my high instep. I was just worried about that. So I ripped it back twice, and then I decided just to continue the stripe throughout that whole section. So this is so much fun, and I'm really enjoying it, but once again I'm overthinking the colors, and I'm knitting and ripping back and knitting and ripping back. It's definitely not a strong, it's not easy for me to decide. So, and this is as well, I was tempted to rip this back again, and then I decided just continue knitting, and it's going to be on my foot. It's enjoyable to knit still, and it's going to be on my foot, and who cares how bright and if these colors really go together or whatever. I think this is my favorite part. So there's some color work and then some texture. So this was also supposed to be, and then the texture again. So this is all the texture, same texture pattern, and then the color work. So this is my last color work part, and then onto the toe. And Dana Rae she has a knit along each July that she calls the Christmas in July knit along, I think. So I just like to participate for the fun, and I'm using her pattern as well. So yeah, that's just it always feels to me that socks with these kind of variation knits up much quicker than just a plain pair of vanilla socks. And I've got this, but I want to put it on, it needs to be the other way around, because if you knit, let me just see, how can I put it now? This Progress Keeper is from Anna Gret from Pincushion Crafts. It's a little Christmas sock that I bought from her. So I just thought it's appropriate to use it on my Christmas in July socks. So when I've done with this pair, I'll have 2 completed pair of socks for the year. I probably will only start a new pair in maybe in a few months' time. But I'm going to try and finish this in July. The knit along is from, I think, mid-June to mid-August. But for me, it's just, I'm concentrating on, I started it on the 1st of July, and I'm sure I will be able to finish it before the end of July, so that this will be my Christmas in July socks. And that is it. I've got 3 works in progress in total. At one stage I had about 8, so I'm very proud. Oh, and I never show bags, but this is my Christmas bag, and this was made by still a local bag maker, but she doesn't make bags anymore. Brilliant Mummy. She made all these lovely bags. I'm very sad that she doesn't make bags anymore. But this was actually a gift from a friend that had too many bags, and she gifted me this bag. So I use it for my socks whenever I knit Christmas socks. So this is really, it feels to me like Christmas. I don't know why. Even if it's in the middle of the year in July, because when it's Christmas, December, Christmas time here, it's hot and peak, summer peak time. So knitting Christmas socks in winter is just a treat. Good. Yeah, so I usually, most of the time, I use plastic baskets for my projects at home, because I like to put the basket on the floor next to me. I prefer the yarn coming from below, feeding from below, out of a basket. And I don't want to put my pretty baskets on the floor, even though I do vacuum quite often. Maybe not often enough, but I do vacuum. But still, I just feel too sorry for all my project bags to put them on the floor as is. What I sometimes do is I put the project bag in a basket on the floor, and then when I quickly have to get up to check something, it's fine if it stays on the floor, but most of the time I pick it up and put it somewhere higher up. But I also don't like the way that a big project creases and is squashed into a project bag. I really don't like it. And when you take it out, it's all creased and bundled up and squished together. So I like a basket that's big enough. And if I quickly, so this is just a very cheap basket. And if I quickly have to put it down to go and check on dinner or whatever, I can just throw it in here loosely. I don't have to squash it into a bag. That's just my personal preference and how I like to do things. Today was a lot of chatter and a lot of rambling, and it's just over an hour. So it's one of those longer episodes. I hope that you made it through it. If you've got the time to share it with your friends and subscribe and like and comment. I do like to read the comments, and I do respond to all the comments, maybe not immediately, but I do. If I don't respond, maybe that was one of the comments that disappeared. I know that sometimes happens. So if it happens to you that I don't respond and maybe you've asked a question, please comment again and say, hey, where's my comment disappeared, or you didn't respond and I wanted to know this or that. So please, I feel a connection, and I do appreciate that connection. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.